Is this AA in your party or not?
Yeah, he is.
Are these your friends?
Let's just say I have reconsidered who I play ranked games with sometimes after this game.
After this game only? Is this like not a trend? I feel like some things I just don't believe to be like, you
Yeah, this
know,
game specifically.
well, what I'm saying is like, if you're a 5 position player and you die in lane and just never come back, that's like something you should do 0% of games.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't just happen in party games, I will say, but this is like an example of the kind of things I have difficulty with, where for whatever reason or another, like this guy was in my party, he's not raging, he just accidentally, whatever that means, goes to the other lane. I don't know,
That doesn't exist. Yeah,
but
he's just
but
terrible. Okay.
Banana slam jam.
What's the deal? Why are you here? Give me the deets, the dirty deets.
well, I've been playing Dota for I don't know a couple years now, and I I started off. I think I ranked in around 100 MMR, so I was like a legit Herald one.
Very nice. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say that proudly, but continue.
well, yeah, I worked. I probably got serious about trying to do better at it some time ago, and I was able to get up to Archon, but I don't know. I feel like I kind of hit a brick wall. So I try to do the best I can, whatever I'm doing, and I've put some time and energy in Dota, so I feel like I can do better at it. I'm gonna try to, I feel like I accomplished something.
For sure, man. Okay, so where are you at now?
So let's see. I think right now I'm about fluctuates. I'm 2570 right now. So
Okay.
2.5k.
What position do you play?
I am usually a carry. Like I play position one usually in mid or safe lane. But I usually play like a more of a farming type carry. I've toyed around. I'm one of those people that like plays every hero in the game, but I've tried to narrow down my hero pool because I don't know. I don't feel like you can play for fun and you can play to win. And when I'm trying to play to win, I think I need to just play fewer heroes. So I've pretty much just gotten down to like 5 heroes I play for the most part.
What are those five?
So if I am mid lane, I'm usually taking like Arc Warden, Medusa, uh, Morphling sometimes. And
Okay.
then I will pick Queen of Pain, but I don't feel again. I don't feel as comfortable in the non-farming position. Um, if I'm in safe lane, I can do those heroes again, but I also do anti mage. Um, again, I can play others, but it's
Okay.
just those are the heroes I feel most comfortable on. Like I can, whether I'm ahead or behind, I feel like I can do. I know what to do more
So
or
what are
less.
you wanting to get out of today? Like if you had to give me like one thing that you're like, BSJ, I hope you would help me get better at this. What is it?
One thing I've noticed I seem to have difficulty with is I don't know when I feel like I'm up against like a brick wall. Like all three lanes are losing. They're all they picked five carries. One's in the jungle, and that kind of thing. And they all have they're all strength heroes. That kind of feeling where everyone's super tanky or hard to it's hard to actually lock down anybody. They can just kind of be in whatever position they want and rotate around until
Okay.
it doesn't just wear you down. So I have trouble against the really tanky. I would throw like heroes like Void and Slark into that as well. It's just unless you have some way to just hold them down, it's very difficult to play against. So there's just those really tanky sustain or escape type lineups. I have a
Okay.
hard time against.
Um what replay do you have for me today? Like what are the heroes you have?
Well, I'm mostly playing Arcorden now. He's kind of my go-to at the moment. So,
Okay.
one I did. So I
How
say,
often do you play Dota?
I play a lot of days. Like there are some days I don't play, but I play more days than I don't. And then on any given day I play, I'll do maybe 2 or 3 matches.
Okay, so what, like 15 a week or
Yeah, that seems fair. Like if
okay.
I look at my like recent games, like they're all probably within the last 5 days, like the last 8. So
Okay. Yeah, okay, it
I
makes
play a
sense.
good
So
bit.
not a ton, but enough to. consistently.
Yeah,
be
I mean,
playing?
I have like 4,500 hours or something, but it's so
Absolutely. I do ask because I've realized over the course of my coaching it is relevant to know how often people play. Because
yeah.
their
Well,
rate of
I've played
improvement
enough
can
that I can
be,
play
yeah.
all the heroes. It's just yeah, doesn't mean I should.
Gotcha.
So that's the arc one, and then I have another as Medusa. We can get to if you want to
Somebody in your
get
party
in that
queue is a
position.
support storm spirit?
Yeah.
Not gonna touch that one, buddy. Not gonna touch that one. Okay. So, do you see Dota on your screen?
I do.
We'll have plenty of time to get to your other game as well, by the way. So we'll just we'll jump right into it here. So when I look at Art Gordon, I'm gonna think about efficiency that I can talk to you about, and then obviously I'll talk about unique mechanics to Art Gordon. But I'm primarily gonna be looking at your efficiency mechanically as well as just overall around the map and stuff. Because that's pretty much all Art Gordon is. How fast can you get creeps and you know, go from there. My question is, what are you holding gold for?
Um, so looking at this particular game, I'm not sure. I think I was because usually I will just buy everything. I'll end up getting if it's okay, so if I'm in a lane where I think I am not going to be able to pressure them, I'll just get those two stat items, and then I'll get some tangos, some mangoes, and then usually two like a fairy fire and like a branch.
Okay.
This particular game, I don't really know what I was doing.
Yeah,
This
I'm
is
just
like more
wondering
like
why your 140 gold went unspent. I don't really have like
yeah.
a better question than that. I just think it's pretty crucial that, if you're spending if you're everyone's total net worth at 0 minutes is 600, that you don't waste a fourth of it. Like, that's
Agreed.
very
Yeah, I'd say
important.
that's unusual thing for me, but I agree that's a fault.
Okay.
Look who's coming for you.
First blood is on the ground, and we're already looking for more.
I usually would, yeah. Spark race that one.
Is this AA in your party or not?
Yeah, he is.
Are these your friends?
Let's just say I have reconsidered who I play ranked games with sometimes after this game.
After this game only? Is this like not a trend? I feel like some things I just don't believe to be like,
Yeah, this game specifically.
Well, what I'm saying is like, if you're a 5 position player and you die in lane and just never come back, that's like something you should do 0% of games.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't just happen in party games, I will say, but this is like an example of the kind of things I have difficulty with, where for whatever reason or another, like this guy was in my party, he's not raging, he just accidentally, whatever that means, goes to the other lane. I don't know.
That doesn't exist. Yeah,
But
he's just terrible.
but
Okay.
but it's not unusual though for this to happen, and then my position 5 is so tilted, he's like, you terrible carry, I go jungle or go to other lane or
Okay.
something. Now I'm 1v2.
Yeah, we'll obviously approach this game as if he's not in your party, but I would just say probably not the best friend to be queuing with, because that is unbelievably terrible.
Yes.
That's all I got there. Like, that is like on a scale of 1 to 10 terrible. That's like a 9. 10 would be him walking down mid and feeding. So that's about the only way it gets worse from here. So you're in lane and you die. Shocker. Okay. My question is, when you see this, where are the enemy creeps?
Hard camp.
Okay, so as a
I shouldn't be
carry,
chasing them. I should just go over to the hard camp.
what is your job as a carry for the first 6 minutes of the game?
Hit creeps and nothing but creeps.
Yeah,
Unless I can kill.
Well,
Unless I can kill.
when do we hit heroes?
If there's no creep to hit and you can't, and it won't mess up your lane equilibrium.
Okay, absolutely, but also when we need to hit those heroes so that we can hit creeps. Am I correct? Like
yeah,
those
that too,
heroes,
yeah.
the heroes are in the way of us hitting creeps. So that needs to be important. That's like a mindset that just needs to be instilled, right? You need to be knowing like where the creep wave is. Obviously, there's no creep wave, so it's been pulled, and you're a carry. So we can't just let creeps die without us. Obviously, if you think you need to bully these guys away such that you can go to the big camp, sure. I understand that. But the fact that you chased them for as long as you did is just handing creep deaths away for no reason. So our AA was kind enough to grace us with his presence. Very nice of him. This is quite simple. Whenever you tank creeps outside of tower, there's only one downside. And that is that you are tanking creeps and potentially killable because you're tanking creeps. So in what lanes would you not be allowed to tank creeps outside of tower?
One where you can be immediately...
One where you can be killed and punished for it.
Yeah.
That's simple. So if I ask myself I'm in a lane and I say as carry, I know the only downside of doing this is dying and taking a lot of damage. I don't do it in lanes where I'm running out of sustain, meaning I can't afford to tank the damage, or I'm afraid of dying. And you're against a Pudge. His only use in the entire world is to hook you and kill you. Otherwise, that hero is a useless piece of garbage. So, let's not give him the one thing that makes his hero playable, and let him hook you.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Okay. You purposely TP tier 2 there?
Yeah, I think the I don't remember what my thinking was. I think I was just realizing, okay, I don't know if I can be in this because the Legion was that far ahead and already behind the tower. So I was afraid to really just show up under the tower. Just because of the constant threat of, the Legion. Because if you're standing in the creep wave, Pudge can't hook you, but that's where Legion wants you to be, so she can hit you. So it's like, do I really want to be in the lane where Legion's already this far ahead of me?
I'll just be honest and say that, up until this point, the way that's been played the lane, obviously AA fucked up, but we're going to focus on your fuck-ups. The whole, my question would be, if you're against Pudge Legion, are you allowed to occupy the lane as Arc Warden when it's up here?
No.
So, if the lane goes like this and you don't have a support, what do you have to do?
Pull your lane.
You have to go pull it.
Go back there, pull it.
You have to go pull it. If the lane's near your tower, you have to just get all the XP you can and don't let Pudge hook you. These are fundamental things that based on what you're saying, you know them, okay? You're not allowed to be up here. You know that the only thing Pudge can do is kill you and you're tanking this creep wave. So, I need you to use your knowledge. It's funny the way people incorrectly end up playing Dota. Some people just say they're not thinking. Some people just don't know what to think about. All this kind of stuff. So for you, it's clearly that you're not thinking because you know the answers. So kind of comes down to you're not going to actively get better at a game like Dota if you don't think critically. You're just... It's like, if you were to play 50 games a week, sure, you're going to go up a MMR because your button pressing just gets better and better and all that kind of shit, right? But in terms of efficiency of time spent, you have to critically think about anything you do, and Dota especially. So I would say up until this point, you're not allowed to be in this situation. This is just not allowed to be self-inflicted. It's not allowed to be happening to you. So... The way I look at this is the reason why the lane was bad was because it was up here. And then it was bad because you were tanking creeps outside of tower. Am I right?
Yes.
So how about we just go back to the lane and play it normally and then see what happens?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's like you just gave up on the lane when it's pushing into your tower, and the reasons why it was bad was in your control. Yeah, your AA fucked you over. Yes, your lane's not going to be a win, but you should not be jungling at 4 minutes into the game. So, I think this is a common problem I have. Okay, I'm just going to be honest and say, this is the common problem I have with North American Dota players, okay? They're in a rough spot, and they say, fuck, this sucks. And instead of thinking, why did it suck? How can I fix it? They say, bail, and they're done. It actually happens a shit ton. So... in terms of that attitude, if you want to avoid these situations happening, it's funny. Because going into this, I don't know if you were tilted from this game. Obviously, we're going to watch your other game too. But going into this, based on your approach to the coaching session, I thought your attitude would be one of the last problems we have here. I actually thought your attitude was really good. So I don't know. Is Dota like an escape for you? Do you not like thinking very much? Like, what is Dota for you? I actually have to figure this out.
So I would think it's kind of a bit of that. It's one of those things where I like the challenge of it, but I think there's also definitely times when I just kind of, I turn off or whatever.
Okay,
In
gotcha.
this particular case, I think it probably was some of that. I think though I'm not always completely sure. Like looking at this with this, from this situation we're in right now, like the environment we're in right now, I'd say, yeah, that's a bad choice to leave it. In the moment, I'm probably like, why is my AA leaving me? I'm going to get killed if I go back to lane. I'm thinking I'm just going to get more out of the jungle if he's just, the AA just soaks experience or
My
something.
question for you would be, if you start jungling at 4 minutes in the game, what would a good Pudge player do?
He's going to go look for me.
He's just going to go follow you. So the reason why I'm telling you ahead of time right now is it's not an option, is like if you ever want to gain MMR to like the 4, 5K, 6K bracket, the guy's just going to fucking follow you. So it's like, it ain't going to work at that bracket. So if you're relying on the guy being trash and never leaving lane, eventually that's going to be a skill that backfires on you, right? Like that's going to be a mindset that doesn't work anymore. So I don't like thinking like that. So when it's this early on in the game, rather than thinking, I don't think I can do this, you just got to figure out how to fucking do it. Do I need to go buy it? Do I need to buy a windlace? Do I need to buy some boots? Do I need to buy an extra salve? Do I need raindrops? What do I need? But I need to fucking do this. I can't just leave.
For sure.
That's the
for me, that's
here.
the thing. It is like, I can't. Yeah, there are actually so many toxic people and whatever that you can't. You have to just expect everyone to be toxic to some extent and just be like, how am I going to approach it? I think.
Well, yeah, it's like for me, your AA could be the biggest piece of shit in the world. As long as he's not walking down lane and feeding his body out of spite for you, you should be playing Dota normally.
Exactly. So that's not. Again, I don't think I can really approach anything from the mindset of, oh, this is his fault. I just need to.
Yeah, I just accept the situation you've been given and do your best with it. That's how I look at it. You have to look at it that way if you want to remain sane, but also improve as a Dota player, mentality-wise, and also, like, you actually learn a lot by figuring out how to take the worst situations and push yourself to the limits. Like, if you TP back into this lane 5 times and you keep trying to approach it differently, maybe you buy some boots, and you're like, I think I need to occupy this lane, and I'm going to do whatever I can. I can't just rush a Midas. I need all the items I possibly can to sit in this lane. Because once I get level 6, I'll be accelerated, and I just need to be in this lane. So, that's how I like to think about Dota. What can I do to make sure I'm still in this lane as long as possible? And at your bracket, to teach yourself Dota, I would assume you're probably not allowed to leave the lane until the offlaner 6, okay? So, like, up until that point, you need to have this mindset of, what the fuck can I do to stay here? Yeah, there's going to be exceptions, but I think for your own good, it's better to assume you're supposed to stay in lane until he's 6, at the bare minimum. So up until that point, you are in problem-solving, critical thinking mode of, how do I stay in this lane, no matter how bad it is? And then go from there. Does that sound good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Basically, just make the lane work until you can realistically leave it and let someone else hold it, or at least you can get enough out of the jungle. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this is not more efficient for you. That's how I look at it.
Especially in this hero. Like, this hero is so strong in the lane once he hits his 6. So it's like, you really don't need to be that.
This looks like an epic adventure view between these ancients here. This looks like your own little mini game we got going here with the Aghanim's Trials, but these guys don't have any modifiers.
Onto the existence of life. Why am I here?
Yes.
What is my purpose in life?
The epic battle of the level 4 Arc Warden versus the Ancient Camp. That was hype.
But realistically speaking, like broadly speaking, like if I want to have an impact in the games, I can never. Jungle is never an option until I can probably on any carry level.
Yeah, like I'm saying by you, like I'm fast forwarding through this and not pausing because I need to see what happens, but. This part of the game, I should literally never see ever again in your games, so I'm not teaching you anything here, because there's just nothing for you to learn that's of relevance. This should just never happen again.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you do TP top. Okay, so we're going to get level 6. We're going to have a Midas that, honestly, not a horrible time, all things considered, but it's pretty bad. Let's see. Game's still not out of reach, though.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Fortified. Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Now, I don't usually TP to the lane at this point, but I'm like,
I think that was a fine
TP.
TP. It was 1345, so it allows you to stack the camps. It's a fine TP.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Every coin
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
That was scary. You're obviously going to get hunted all game.
Oh yeah.
Just how it's going to be.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
We see them all top, so it feels good to be here. This is definitely a situation where you can't really show in lane ever. If I'm in a triangle farming hero situation and I'm in a bad game, I will sentry myself. I don't care. The amount of farm you're going to get out of this area on the map compared to the risk of them seeing you and just killing you is just, like, always worth 2 sentries to me. Like, it's one Midas usage, you know? It's like, and if you get a ward with it, then it pays for itself. And if you don't get a ward with it, you feel way better, you know, about being here. I think carries are just... You guys don't realize, the only reason carries can't really afford to buy themselves detection in high-level Dota is because the opponent carries playing at, like, max efficiency. So if you give up any amount of efficiency, the other guy's just going to out-efficiency you, and you need the actual supports to do their job. But in your bracket, everyone sucks. So all we need to do is do our job for ourselves, and we're willing to spend some extra money on sentries. We're willing to, do whatever it takes to protect ourselves. In my bracket, if I have to buy myself a sentry, I'm going to do it anyway. Like, I don't want to, but I'll do it if my support is truly doing nothing. But this all stems from, like, what my hero needs in the game, you know, like, that's all I care about. And I know you know, because you are Platinum Arc Warden, that you're going to be triangle farming 90% of Arc Warden games, and you're going to be doing that for, like, until Maelstrom bots, pretty much. So,
Yeah, pretty much.
If that's the
just
case...
general formula, you sit there and you send your clone out into the lane, but you stay there, and that's, bad habit. I probably should just get sentries.
Yeah, it's just like, I want you to really think critically in lanes. The same idea as it is now. What do I know I'm going to be here, so what could go wrong, and how can I make it best for me to farm this area? You know, like, what can I do to enable myself? You know, sometimes if you're in a party queue, you can say, hey, we need to sentry the triangle, but based on the lane performance, this guy ain't gonna do anything. So I'm going to sentry myself. You know, obviously after blinking on you, this guy has a ward.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Let's see, did your A ever buy a sentry? Very nice item from A. Okay.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Now, TLDR, I would not recommend queuing with this Ancient Apparition game.
Dire's
see.
top tower is under attack.
Did you not think the Legion had a ward there?
Dire's middle tower
You know,
is
that
under
thought
attack.
probably never passed through my mind.
Dire's middle
I do
tower
think like
is
Tree and
under
Protector
attack.
sometimes.
You think what?
Dire
Oh,
is scanning.
sorry. I said I think like Tree and Protector sometimes. You know, thoughts cross my mind as the sun crosses the sky.
I see, yes, I've heard his voice. You're talking about his, like, voice line lore type thing? Okay,
Yeah.
I see. I was confused. I'm like, how does Tree and Protector have to do with this? Okay,
No, basically, in other words, sometimes I'm not really thinking what I ought to be thinking about.
okay.
And by that, I mean like it's not the best.
I'll just tell you and everyone watching, it's Dota's what you make it, just like anything else in life. I personally have enjoyed Dota way fucking more when I know what to think about and I'm pushing myself to think about it. And I personally don't want to play Dota if I don't feel like I am capable of thinking about it. Meaning, like, you know, I'm in a bad headspace, I'm really tired that day, you know, whatever. So obviously you're coming to my coaching. I'm not here to tell you what you're supposed to get out of Dota. But I personally believe it makes Dota 20 times more enjoyable. So moving forward, I would love for you to try that out. I know you've kind of realized you have to think, but the cool thing about playing 5 heroes, like a very limited hero pool, is you're more so mastering how that hero plays the game rather than how Dota needs to be played as a whole. So you can learn about objectives in the game based on that hero. It's like, if I'm practicing learning how to play Mars, I don't need to really understand how to protect my own triangle. Like, that's not something, as a Mars, I care about, because most games I'm not farming my triangle. So it's like, all I'm saying for you and everyone else is, like, every hero in the game has different priorities of, like, what objectives they care about and why. So by mastering a small pool of heroes, you have to worry about certain objectives way more than you do others. But you need to start thinking critically about these objectives, understanding that the triangle is an objective, towers are objectives, you know, what part of the map means what for your hero, like how often are you going to be there, why would you be there, like are you a tower defender, are you a tower pusher, at what point in the game does that change? You know, we already talked about, like, you know, Midas or Boots of Travel plus Maelstrom, your hero starts to play the map differently. It's like, these things need to be thought about critically if you want to get better at Dota at a rapid pace. That's just how I look at it, so moving forward.
It takes a discipline.
It's discipline. I personally find a lot of value or a lot of enjoyment in that discipline, but for others, it's like, you know, if you want to learn from me and you don't want to think like that, my response is kind of like, I'm probably just not the best guy for you. Like, there's probably a better coach out
I
there.
was saying that's probably the main reason I play anyway. It's just because of that. Like, I enjoy that.
Okay.
It's just, for me, it's more so I don't know. I feel like I sometimes get like the wrong focus or something. Like, I get focused on the wrong things or something. I don't know.
So I personally have, in a large period of my life, I naturally zone out. I do that. That it leads to BSJ moments, okay? The ones where sometimes I play like a fucking god, and then sometimes I just derp and die in like the dumbest way possible. And a lot of it is because I zoned out for like 5 to 10 seconds prior to something happening. I have absolutely no clue what's going on in the game because I zoned out and I just die. And for me, the habit forming of this way of thinking about the game is like super important. I think it's the only thing. You have to consistently be doing it and train your mind to think otherwise. Like, you just have to. It's a hard habit to break. I feel like it's kind of just innately in some of us, where some of us just naturally do that we either think really hard or not at all, and sometimes we just catch ourselves randomly not thinking at all. So we have to try to train ourselves to think as hard as we can, as often as we can, consistently. And I think that's a lot of gentle reminders. You know,
Well, I think it comes also down to like why you do something as well. Like I mean, I'm like a classically trained musician. For me, it's extremely critical that you're constantly aware of like 5 different things going on at once, and you're like extreme discipline focused on those things. But this is a game. You sometimes just play. Sometimes you're with people that just play for fun, or you, for whatever reason, are just playing something for fun. And that just, when you mix that with the the try-harding, then you get conflicted mindsets going into.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to compartmentalize there. You know, if you're gonna play ranked at all, it should be serious. If you're gonna play just to chill and have fun with your friends, you should play party queue, or like party queue, unranked. I really think it's important that you go into this game with an intention. Like, you go into it saying, I'm going to super try hard or not. And it's like, I personally don't want my MMR to be a reflection of how I am on average. I want it to be how I am when I play at my best. Like, when I say my best, it's like, I'm not going to play perfectly every game. I'll fuck up sometimes, but mentally I am prepared to play at my best. And so obviously, as like, if I were a competitive player, I have to make that as often as possible, because I don't get to pick and choose the time of day that I have to play a competitive match. But for literally anyone else, you have all the time in the world to train that thought, because you get to pick and choose when you play. So that's a big deal for me here. Is I don't think it's healthy for you to kind of just go into a Dota game, and some games you're trying really hard and some games you're kind of just zoned out. I think it leads to really bad habits and unpredictability with yourself and games, and Honestly, just a waste of time if we're talking about like trying to improve.
Radiant are scanning.
So yeah, we're gonna keep playing this game out, but I'll probably end up doing 3 games with you and ignore this game for the most part.
Yeah, this is
You know what? Fuck it. I don't want to talk about this game. Do you have another Arc
Sure.
Warden game for later?
let me see here.
You said a Medusa
I
game
prefer
too, right?
lost games, so let me see here.
You had a Medusa game you wanted to do, right?
Yeah, let me go and throw you the replay
Yeah, let's do the Medusa game
ID for
first.
that, and then I'll look for the
Feel free to
artwork.
look while I'm looking at the other one.
But yeah, I have those same moments where I will just zone out, get stuck doing something. Like I'm the kind of person also just get stuck doing something, anything, name anything, any activity. I'll just get zoned out, stuck doing it. Time will get away from me. I don't care what it is. It could be something I don't even enjoy doing, and I'm just like stuck doing it. And then I realize, wait, why am I still doing this? That's for me. That's like a life challenge.
I'm going to tell you, I will reverberate this message every single time that guys, when you're studying in school, when you're studying to get better, like practicing to get better at a game like Dota, there are so many habits, there are so many lessons, life lessons that are applicable in the game you are playing or the courses you are taking that can be used to better your life, okay? Like, I am 100% sure that my mindset as it has grown in Dota and the way I approach problem solving in Dota, the way I approach conflict, the way I approach, simply working as a team and working with other people and dealing with toxicity, it has bettered my life to be better at that. I am 100% sure about that. So for people who think your approach to Dota and your life are separate, if you're a toxic shitter in Dota, you're almost certainly a toxic shitter in real life. If you have the right mindset in Dota, you'll probably have the right mindset in real life. I firmly believe that. If you don't believe it, you're welcome to
It
think
brings
about
out
it.
the worst of you, whatever that is.
Okay, the thing about Dota is if you can be good in Dota, then you're almost certainly going to be good as a person because, like, it's like you said, it does bring out the worst in you. I think this is a bit greedy on the item. I don't play safely in Medusa. I think most of the time you'd want like either a fairy fire or like a mango or an extra salve. I think the Wraithband items, like the Wraithband, Bracer, and Null, are just not good enough to invest as your entire opening gold. You can just get so much damage. Like, this is 5 damage, and you could just go like, Slipper, Circlet, Fairy Fire, Double Branch, and you just have an extra 4 damage, compared to this. So it's just something to consider, but if you want to go Wraithband, I don't hate it.
I think I was just doing it because I thought, okay, I'm not really going to be under that much pressure in the lane. I'm just going to farm up this. I think that's why I did it.
I want you to think that way and then have an extra 4 damage while you're hitting this guy and farming creeps. You're gonna you could even go back and count how many times you hit this Doom and just be like, what if I had 4 more damage?
True.
You've hit him like 6 times at least. Okay. So this looks like a much better lane than the last game. What did you say?
I said at this point, I probably should have asked my doctor to pull the lane back.
So you could watch this lane back a shit ton. So let's watch this here. I want you to realize how important lane equilibrium is, especially when you're in a 2v1. And you are needing to push your limits. You need to push your limits in terms of how often you try to squeeze in a hit on your own creeps between these. I think there were maybe 2 or 3 times in the last 15 seconds of watching this that you could have attacked your own creeps between times that you were attacking to get last hits. And you just have to push that efficiency. You have to. It's
try to get the, hey guys, I have 15 last hits and 15 denies.
Yeah, well, I don't care about the denies when the guy's not here. I just care about the lane being better, right? So it's like the point is though that if you watch top tier carry players, I mean, it applies to off lane, it applies to literally every lane, but carry players especially is like you just need to be hitting creeps as often as possible, and the real goal is to not only be CSing perfectly, but also be doing all these other things like lane equilibrium management and all that kind of shit perfectly as well. So in your bracket, it's not that uncommon for me to see people who can CS very well. Like, if they're in a free farm lane, they'll get most of the CS. But all the other stuff never is there if they're doing it. Because they're either trying to do all the other stuff and they suck, or they're, like, not doing any of the other stuff and they're CSing perfectly. That's, like, the two situations I will see.
That generally only happens to me when I'm in a 1v nothing lane.
Yeah, so my question for you right now is what should you do at this very moment?
So let's see, I've got creeps coming into the tower. I could probably make Tango that hard camp and pull.
Well, no, I'm telling you that you just told me you want the lane pulled back, so what should you do?
Well,
It's a boy.
I mean, the two ways I could
Happy
do is I
9
could pull the
months
hard
of
camp
free
over,
money.
or I could just focus on hitting my range creep that's getting focused.
But it's not below half yet.
No, it's not.
So what do you do to make it below half?
I mean, you wait for it to go down.
You A-click the guy in the mid lane and drag the creeps to your range.
Oh,
A-click
that's
this
right.
guy.
That's right. Yeah, because the range creep does more damage, so you want to kill it first. I see. Yeah, that would actually push the lane faster. Okay.
It would pull the
You
lane
are
back.
right,
You
I
mean,
am.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to think about all these options. Denying our own range is always the best way to pull the lane back, particularly when the next creep wave's not there yet, right? This is the best time to do it. So yeah, just keep that in mind. You had 3 or 4 extra shots you could have taken. You could have dragged creeps right here, and I think if you did those two things combined, this lane would be perfectly equilibriumed right about here.
Not even with a pull, so.
Yeah, with no pull. Yeah. So a lot of carries have this limited mindset that lane equilibrium is their support's job to fix, and it's kind of like eating fast food 3 days a week or 3 times a day and never working out and expecting your doctor to fix your problems. Do you see the difference, or do you see the analogy I'm making here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, hey.
Cool. I think that was a pretty good analogy. We're gonna move on here. You need to do the consistent things that create a good lane equilibrium. Okay, Doom fed for us. Very nice. So in this case, the witch doctor just chilling with you. Is this the guy in your party as well?
No, this is
Silicu?
rando.
Okay. Support players. I want you guys. I'm just gonna PSA support players right now. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like, how often do I need to talk about get the lane back to your tower? How often do you need to hear this shit? If the lane's not at your tower, go pull a camp. Don't just jack off behind your carry on the left side. Please. Like, can I never see this again? You can be 1K and know this shit. I could teach a guy who's literally never played Dota. If the lane's here, go walk over and pull this camp. I could teach that to somebody who's literally never played a game of Dota. They may not know how to pull, but once I train them to do that, they're better than you at laning. Okay, moving on. Sorry, that wasn't directed at you, obviously.
But seriously, yeah, like
It's actually
like, I don't need to rely on him, but that is.
The earlier though was your fault though, and that's what we're concerned about. I got a lot of people watching, so I'm just trying to get as many people reached out to as possible. You definitely don't aggro to your range nearly enough. It looks like you then tried to do it there, but you've probably had 3 or 4 opportunities in this lane where the lane's pushed forward, and the best way to pull it back at any given moment is to get your own range creep killed. Okay, that's the best way. So this is. Go ahead.
It's really weird. It's like I know that when I play mid lane, but
Okay.
for some reason here, I don't know.
I'm just going to be clear to you. I don't think you intend it to be this way, but the way it comes off is you're excusing yourself. Like you're making excuses.
I guess what I mean was like I know how to do that. Like it's not like it's a new concept, but for some reason I'm not thinking about that.
Well, then you need to slap yourself in the fucking face because you need to do this shit 100% of the time. Like this needs to be done 100%. It's like last game when you said, I don't know why I have 140 gold unspent. That's unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to actively get better at Dota and I ask you a question and you can't give me an answer, it's like, okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I know you understand this and you're not like being toxic about it or whatever, but you need to be way harder on yourself because I realize for myself, like we seem to have similarly bad habits. So I'll just kind of tell you from my own perspective that I had to catch myself and accuse myself of being lazy, okay? And call myself out, hold myself accountable constantly. And if you do that, dude, it's just, I it's only difference in my gameplay in the last, like, year. I've gained some knowledge about the game, but the only reason I've gone up a MMR and, like, also, like, feel like my gameplay is getting way better is because I'm consciously reminding myself and thinking about the things that need to be thought about, like, and ignoring all the shit that doesn't matter. It's like, you know, last game I talked about it, and you mentioned how you were focused on how bad AA played the lane and all this kind of shit. That shit needs to be filtered out of your brain. That shit doesn't matter. Can you do anything about that AA? Absolutely not. If it's something you can't do anything about, why are we wasting our brain power on it, right? Like, there's no reason to be spending our precious brain power on something we can't do shit about. So, it's kind of interesting because people... I've been talking to some people, okay, about this whole NA situation that has come to light of the drama and everything. And I've had several people give me some pretty doom and gloom reasons about why the region is kind of just fucked and all these things we can't do anything about. And for me, I don't think it's bad to acknowledge that that's the case, meaning in your game of AA, it's not bad to acknowledge that he's fucking terrible and he's ruining the game for you. But rather, how about, in this bad situation, what could we possibly do to fix the region? What could I possibly do to have a better lane? That's all I care about. Like, I think it's perfectly fine that we're aware of how fucked we are, but, you know, I think it's important to instead think about the right way to approach it. And you're telling me in Twitch chat that you genuinely believe that applying thought processes from Dota to real life isn't possible? Fuck you. Okay, moving on.
Oh my god.
Okay. Let's see. Nice gank from the level 2 4-position Ember Spirit. Very cool.
I think he was so tilted from his lane, that's why he came down here.
Oh, I
If
see.
I remember the game correctly.
Sounds about right. Very cool.
I don't think that was worth it for me to go out and hit him, but okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I watched this game.
Okay.
Aha.
So let's act like that Yasha was a Midas. Actually, I'm going to find a game where the Medusa. I know Medusa Midas is not uncommon, so I'm not, like, flaming them. Okay. You see the difference between these guys' build and your build?
2 Wraith Bands, Treads, so like they're going for lane prowess and then into a Midas.
Yeah. So, I'm going to help shift your mindset and everyone watching. Your items tell me that you think 9 other heroes don't exist in this game.
Basically.
Okay? That's what you're telling me with your items. If you go Treads double Wraith into Midas, you are constantly scaling, constantly getting stronger, constantly doing a bit extra damage, attacking a bit extra, like a bit faster. This Doom is going to come back to a harder and harder lane. This guy is 1 level behind you, but aside from that, he's actually beating you in net worth. Effectively. Effectively, he is beating you in net worth. That is insane. Okay? Like, that, to me, blows my fucking mind. Okay? I've seen this before. It's been a while, actually. Not gonna lie to you. But Dota is a game where I used to play sniper mid, okay? This is me back in 2014. I've used this story before, but my entire way of playing the game was I would queue up sniper 50 games in a row, okay? Like, I'm talking, like, not 50 games in a row. I'd play 50 games and 30 of them would be sniper. And I just loved going, like, a single Wraith Band into Midas Boots of Travel every single game. And the beauty of that was that the opponent didn't matter because my build didn't account for the opponent. I just did the build and farmed as fast as I could. I'd push out the mid lane with a shrapnel. I would stack this big camp in the mid lane, like right here, over and over, so like 4 or 5 times, and I'd have like an 8-minute Midas. And guess what the opponent mid laner was doing?
He was ganking the other lanes. He was
And free farming and ganking the other lanes and doing whatever the fuck he wanted, right? A lot of people don't consider that Dota is all about how much you just fuck with the opponent while you're doing what you're doing. Like, what I mean by that is, if you have 40 extra attack speed here, you're getting every fucking deny. In the meantime, you're not only getting denies, you're also getting 4 extra pot shots on this Doom. And then at 6 minutes, this Doom that's died 3 times is losing his fucking tower. And then, like, effectively, your net worth ahead of this guy is way more than it would be with a Midas, right? Like, so I want your mindset to shift. I want you to watch, not even watch. I actually want you to play these heroes with a copy-pasted fucking build of, like, if you want this Midas, if you want that to be a Yasha, I don't care. You can look at all the games in Pro Dota and you see Treads double Wraith into that item, right? You'll see Treads double Wraith Mask of Menace, Treads double Wraith into Yasha, Treads double Wraith into Midas. The point is this emphasis on always being strong. There's no item in the game, in my opinion, that is worth giving up strength other than maybe a Radiance, okay? Like where, you know, there's that window of like 2,000 gold to the end of your Radiance where if you had a smaller item, you would have been stronger, but, you know, you're being greedy for that Radiance. But aside from that specific scenario, there's really no point in giving up that strength that you've established at any point. By buying a Midas this early, not only are you relinquishing strength upon this Doom, but you're also making it so there's maybe this window where he gets 6 and all you have is like Midas brown boots and he kills you. Like that's how I look at it. So I want this to be a mindset shift for you. These guys suck. Punish them for it. Don't buy items that are good for you. Buy items that make you strong. Like, when I mean good for you is items that speed up your game. Buy items that make you strong. Because that effectively makes them weaker. And then the game, you'll be much stronger in this game. Like, if I'm an offlaner, it scares the shit out of me if I'm losing by 2 levels and the opponent carry just has 2 Wraith Bands and Treads and they hit me all the time. Like, that's like the worst nightmare for me. You know, they're a Drow, they're a Faceless Void, you know, they're you know, whatever they are, and they're just hitting me a fucking shit ton. That sucks. So you're making the opponent's game easier, which I don't think will help you in the long run, because I think in my bracket I've learned the best way to win is to make people mess up and punish them when they're weak. And the beauty about your bracket is people will mess up without much prompting. Like, you won't have to do much to make them mess up. Like, imagine if you just had Trebs double right there. I'd imagine that maybe somebody would die. Maybe you wouldn't die. Maybe you would have fullish health. It's hard to even imagine, because you probably could have hit this Doom 10 times in the last 2 minutes that you haven't hit him here, and he would be 200 health instead of 600, and then, you know, maybe he just dies walking up to your safe laner like that. People in your bracket aren't going to be prepared for that shit. Why? Because they're used to you and all the other carries playing like this. You are winning this lane. You guys have killed this guy 3 times, and this guy is bullying you. I want you to think about that. You're getting bullied, and you crushed this lane, and now you die. Oh my god. You're doomed, man. This guy literally said it.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Moving forward.
Dominating!
So I think at this point it's like, okay. So
If
yeah,
you don't mind,
point,
could
like,
you try
I
to
am
talk a
playing
bit louder?
scared
Yeah,
into
you
this
just
tower.
talked into your mic a bit louder there. So you're just a tad quiet. If you could talk into your mic a bit better, that'd be great. Go
Okay,
ahead.
yeah. So let me move the screen so I'm
That's much
my
better.
other monitor. So now I'm naturally facing the mic.
Okay.
All right. So looking at like reasonably here, I want to be strong enough. I hit that creep, I push it out. I now come over here and I jungle, but no, I'm afraid to, like you said. So
Yes. The thing is, your playstyle isn't going to change. You're just going to be more efficient and stronger at what your playstyle is. From what I'm seeing, your playstyle isn't wrong. In lane, last game, rather than rushing a Midas, you should just build to live through the lane. People ask, like, how many Wraith Bands do I buy before Battle Fury on Anti-Mage? Or how many Wraith Bands do I buy before Midas on Faceless Void? And all this kind of shit. And it's like, well, between the time that you're getting the Battle Fury and beforehand and getting the build up to this Midas, you have to fucking be a hero. You know, you have to be a hero constantly throughout the course of the game. So, however many of those you need to buy is however many it requires for you to exist in the game, like, effectively. The kills you guys got had nothing to do with the strength of your hero. It's just you getting ganked for and the opponent having no support, right? So it's like, I want your impact in the game to be maximum at all time. Colley's doing some Fascinating stuff over here. She's delivering these longins.
Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, I if you agree with me here, whatever's happened in the bottom lane, you're literally a non-factor hitting creeps. Would you agree with that?
I agree.
Okay, and we want that to be changed in regards to people. This is AFK farming. You watch somebody like, Miracle or Arteezy building double Wraithband treads into Midas. That is not AFK farming. That is farming aggressively as possible, while still farming. You're still, obviously, your job as a hero is to hit creeps. I get that, but let's do it in a way that makes us impactful in the game. It is not right to put the weight of our team to carry this for the first 20 minutes. That is not how we want to approach it. We can enable ourselves.
Radiant's middle
That's
tower is
crazy,
under
but
attack.
we can absolutely do that. So if you're winning a lane, and I always say, I say the condition for buying Midas is that you have a job and you can do it if you have a Midas. So if you're winning the lane, your job is to dominate the lane. That is your job. If you are winning the lane. So if you can dominate the lane by going Midas, by all means, just rush a fucking Midas. That's fine. If your job is to be survivable and occupy this lane and not die, and you can do that with a Midas, great. Fucking rush a Midas. That's the thought process that I personally
Dire's
come
middle
to.
tower is under attack.
So we
Dire's
see this Doom
structures
running
are
at us
fortified.
again. Okay.
Dire's middle tower is under Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Triple kill.
Okay, man. I've only done this one other time before, but I'm gonna do it with you. So you did book, you booked this coaching session, and a lot of times it's really varied. So this is gonna be weird, but I want you to just trust me here.
Okay.
Your issue is a mindset issue. I think you kind of knew this coming in, but I also think it's not like a toxicity mindset issue. I think it's you're supposed to farm, you like to play farming heroes, and your vision of how to do that is the problem. So
Yeah.
it isn't necessarily mechanically, it isn't necessarily what your knowledge of the game is. It's really just how you view your role in this game as a player. As an Arc Warden, if you contest the Legion last game and you make her spend a lot more money on Regen, and you make the enemy team try to pressure you as often as they can, you're inconveniencing the opponent while farming. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the minute you ditch the lane at level 3, you're literally non-existent in the game. In terms of influencing the actions of the opponent as well as enabling the actions of your teammates, you are non-existent. And that's what is referred to as AFK farming, and when a streamer flames a player in their game, that's what they're flaming. They're flaming the impact that guy's having on everyone else in the game, because it doesn't exist. So what I'm getting to here is that I think if you shift this mindset drastically, your games are going to be unrecognizable. And I also believe that a lot of what I want to teach you past this is not possible to teach you until you've played with this mindset for at least a week. So what I want to do is basically say this is half of your session or less, and I want you to go play for a week and come back with 2 games for me to watch where you think, from what you've heard in this session, you've applied what I've tried to get you to apply. And I want to see the issues you run into. I want to see the questions you may have where you're like, hey, BSJ, I thought I was supposed to be strong here. I wanted to be strong and I died. Or I feel like I didn't play greedy enough. Or, whatever, right? I want to hear your experiences with this. But I really do believe it's doing you a disservice if I finish this coaching session and send you on your way. So I think I would like to postpone the remainder of it till next week, if that's okay with you. Does that sound good?
That's fine with me.
Okay.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, that's what I booked this for.
Okay, cool. So yeah, no, it's happened. I think I've done this once or twice before, where I was like, I think this person just needs to drastically approach the game differently, and it's really not that hard for them. I don't think this will be hard. When I say it's not that hard, what I mean is it's going to be hard to break your habits, but it's not going to be hard to try to do this. Like, to try, like, the concept of, like, hey, I'm going to be really strong with items and figuring out how to be strong at all points in the game. It's not hard to attempt to do. It's just hard to do. you know what I mean? So
basically, I just need to have the mindset of I am one of, 5 heroes on my team. I need to contribute. If I am stronger than the enemy, I need to lean into them and punish them.
If I'm weaker than the opponent, I at least need to be, like, forcing them to try to deal with me in the meantime. Like, if you know what I'm saying. And finding that limit is a lot of the skill that's going to come with learning this for you. You know, you're going to be like, hey, I know I want them to have to dive me bottom, and then I think I can escape. And then you're going to, like, feed randomly 3 times or whatever.
Like, legitimately, like, the only time you leave is if you're, like, I don't know, some squishy hero against, like, a lone druid and 2 other heroes.
Yeah, if you're, like, 100% sure you can't contest that lane, then ditch it, for sure.
Yeah.
But obviously, in the first 4 minutes we saw in the first game, that's not acceptable. But yeah, all the little things we talked about in the lane with Witch Doctor, like lane equilibrium-wise, it's the same mindset where you're expecting your Witch Doctor to pull, but there were so many things that you could have done to help the lane equilibrium a bit, right? I hope you and everyone watching sees how that's the same mindset. You know, like, you're expecting your support to fix the problem for you. You're expecting your team to make all the space in the world for you, right? Like, that's what you're expecting, but or like, at least that's what you're playing as. Like, that's the way you're approaching the game. And that's not how carry works at all. So, I think if we can break this mindset for you, it'd be a huge payoff in the long run if you're interested for yourself to push it. So,
no, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, so let's, absolutely. Like I said, I don't doubt your willingness to be open-minded, but I do see a very, very, it's a very obvious trend with, the way you're playing the game. So, and I can relate to this. I can relate to this at a very personal level. So,
Yeah, it's really funny too, because I used to like when I told you I started off as like 0 MMR, and I actually climbed to 2.5K playing mostly Medusa and Lena, 2 heroes where I would actually try to dominate my mid lane and just be stronger than everybody. But I eventually hit like this brick wall, and eventually people that I talked to said, well, you kind of need to focus on farming more. And so I think I just shifted my mentality, and I'm not trying to excuse it. I'm just saying, like,
no, that's
kind of
fine.
weird because I actually did used to try to play cocky a little bit more, like, oh yeah, I'm just going to lean into them and whatnot. So
the problem is, okay, I want to tell you, I want to address what you're saying right now, because I had a coaching session just now with a team, and they asked me a question of, like, what should we have done here? And my idea is, like, I don't think saying, like, you should just farm more or whatever should be, or, like, you guys in this specific spot should have done this. I want you guys to be thinking, like, what is my hero's role in the game? And it's your job to interpret that answer. Like, I want you to figure that out for yourself, because if I give you a strict rule, like if I tell you, hey man, you should just be farming more, you could construe that in so many fucking ways. You could, like, if I told that to 10 different people, they would apply it 10 different ways, right? Like, do you know what I mean? So, I think those type of tips people give is just so toxic sometimes. Like, they don't mean to be toxic, but it is. So, like, it doesn't actually help. So with you specifically moving forward, my tip is, like, I'm not telling you to farm less. I'm telling you to do exactly what you're doing, with the emphasis that you matter in this game, and that you need to be strong as you possibly can be while you're doing what you're doing. So, cool, man. Do you have any final question?
Oh, no, I would just say I'd interpret that to mean, I need to just have this discipline to always approach it, where I am going to, I'm going to pull out my very best, and I'm going to be the very strongest I can be. Like, it's entirely me. So
yeah, it is.
So I don't care what happens. My whole team can feed mid. I'm going to still try to win somehow.
Absolutely. There we go. I like that. Okay, man. Obviously, we're friends on Discord, so we'll look for a time, ideally next Sunday, but we can have some wiggle room if for some reason my schedule fills up or yours. Either way.
Yeah,
so
I should be fine. I'll send you a message, maybe, I don't know, like Friday or Saturday or something.
Sounds good.
All right, appreciate your time, man.
I
I appreciate it a lot.
Yep, no problem. See you. Is Medusa good this patch? Seems like Medusa's pretty strong.